been working ever since BJ Day, working to create a completely new automobile. Rain or shine, hot or cold, day and night, month after month, the Ford Motor Company has been working on plans and conducting special tests for a car that can be truly acclaimed, new from the ground up. A car with every feature engineered in balance to produce a brilliant new creation in the automotive world. Day after day, hundreds and hundreds of tests and experiments were made in the constant quest of a goal. The quest for proof that here was the engineering achievement supreme, combining riding comfort, beauty, durability, and economy. Proof of new safety, new power, and unrivaled roadability. Tests that mean proof, absolute proof, that the new Ford is a car created for leadership. Ford in your future. The achievement supreme in modern automotive styling. Beauty combined with comfort, safety, and performance. The new four-door custom sedan is a perfect example of the balanced engineering built into every model of the new 1949 line. For example, the longer, lower, streamlined, completely new appearance of a car is a styling achievement combined with practical engineering. The new Ford is a full 4 inches lower, but the road clearance is practically the same. The interior, or seating space, is larger and a full 5 inches forward. The rear seat is well ahead of the rear axle, giving all passengers a truly cradled midship ride. The luxurious interior is designed and engineered for lounge car comfort. The richly upholstered seats are more comfortable because they are wider by far than ever before. The floors are flatter for comfort and convenience in entering or leaving the car. There's more seating room, more shoulder room, and still more headroom, too. And the front seat is a full 8 inches wider to ensure complete comfort when two people are sitting with the driver. Yes, the Ford in your future is new, all new. It's designed to give the ultimate in comfort, more style and beauty than has ever been attained in a low-priced car. The 1949 Ford Custom Station Wagon 2 is dramatically new from the ground up. The handsomely streamlined body is steel, all steel, under the richly paneled wood. The entire car is a combination of new safety and new beauty. For the roof, too, is safety steel welded to the all-steel body. Smart two-door styling provides doors that are massive and extra wide for easy entrance and exit. Here again is engineered convenience. For greater convenience and extra storage space, the spare tire is mounted on the luggage gate, and the rear seat can be easily removed to provide extra storage space. This model is the enchantingly new Ford Club Coupe, one of the most popular models in the entire 49 line. This is particularly true when there are children in the family. The space back of the driver is equipped with a cozy and comfortable seat, safe for children away from doors and latches. In fact, safety and comfort is a major part of the balanced engineering in every feature of the car. For example, one of the most outstanding and pleasing of these features is the revolutionary new fresh air ventilating system. With this three-way system, air from the outside is taken in through large air scoops, conditioned for comfort, and then circulated throughout the car. Thus, the air inside the car is always abundant and fresh, continuously changing under gentle pressure, eliminating fogging windows and uncomfortable drafts. In the 49 Ford, year-round passenger comfort is provided by this new fresh air ventilating system, an exclusive feature available in all new models. Other features include luxurious interior appointments like the attractive instrument panel, newly designed for complete driver convenience. The instruments, grouped directly in front of the driver, can be easily seen through the steering wheel by day as well as by night when the new black light illuminates the dials without the slightest possible glare. The interior light switch is located for greater convenience too. It's on the left side, just above the driver's shoulder. And even the new door latches have been thoughtfully designed for greater safety and convenience. And what's more, it's impossible to lock yourself out of the new Ford because the last door to be closed must be locked by key. And speaking of features, the beautiful new Ford Business Coupe has an almost unbelievable capacity for storage. Traveling businessmen appreciate the extra large carrying space back of the seat. Over 25 cubic feet of space for sample cases and other business equipment. Here again is a car completely engineered to a purpose, yet with the same ultra smartness and styling found in every model in the line. Another brilliant model is the Ford two-door sedan. Here again is new, smart, longer, lower streamlined styling. The luggage compartment of the Ford in your future is larger, much larger. In fact, the deep deck luggage locker has 28.5 cubic feet of completely usable space. Luggage for the entire family can be conveniently stored for travel. Yet the spare tire is always accessible, combining practical convenience with new style and beauty. The gay new Ford Custom Convertible is the car of the year for youth at any age. Its dashing style and graceful lines make it a showpiece, even in the smartest settings. And the automatic easy latch top moves up or down in effortless seconds, quickly turning a snug sedan into a breezy sunshine car. The Ford in your future also gives you a substantial increase in economy and performance. The six-cylinder engine is the newest, most modern of all the sixes in the low-price field. It is a brand new 95 horsepower engine designed for increased economy of operation. And the famous for smoothness V8 engine has been improved to provide the greatest operating economy, plus the liveliest, peppiest performance in its history. Each of these powerful engines is an optional choice. Each is available in every model in the 1949 line of Ford cars. And out on the highway, the Ford in your future with its lower, safer center of gravity provides a smooth midship ride. Quiet as a whisper and gentle as a summer breeze. Here and here only is where the completely balanced engineering can really be enjoyed and fully appreciated. For instance, the new ease engineered in the steering mechanism and the new arrow straight flight of the car as it rolls along the road. Even in a strong crosswind, it continues to steer straight as an arrow. The balanced engineering in the new car brings a brand new driving sensation. One of the first features the driver appreciates is the greatly increased visibility. True picture window vision for added safety. When the Ford in your future sweeps around a curve, it hugs the road as never before. And the ride is perfectly balanced, beautifully smooth both on highways or byways. No matter how rough the driving surface, the new Hydrocoil independent front springs, plus the velvet smooth action of the lubricated for life parallel rear springs, make the ride an unrivaled joy. And the 49 Ford is equipped with new, easy action, king-size brakes. Larger, longer lasting, safer, and smoother stopping. Just a light, easy touch of the toe, and the car comes to a smooth, sure stop. Yes, the new Ford for 1949 is breathtaking in the splendor of its design. Ultra-modern in its features and thrilling in its performance. A symphony in balanced engineering. A dream of tomorrow come true today. It's the Ford in your future for 1949.
This is Anytown, USA. It's just an ordinary, wonderful town, anywhere in any of 48 states. Here are some folks you know. John Citizen and his wife. They may live next door or on the other side of the country. But anyway, they are your neighbors. They work with you and for you. You do the same for them. This is a great day for John and his wife. They are about to make an important purchase, one of the most important purchases they will make during their lives. They are buying a new automobile. John knows it's going to mean a lot to him, to his wife and the kids. He knows it is going to put wings on their feet and make living a whole lot better for all of them. But like a lot of us, when we make an important purchase, like a car or a refrigerator or a radio, John thinks his money goes back to a big company and stays there. But it doesn't work that way. John, you may not realize it, but you're buying more than a new car for yourself and your family. You're buying a lot of other things for a lot of other people. You're buying things like a new vacuum cleaner for a housewife in Hibbing, Minnesota. You're buying a new pair of shoes for a little boy in Alabama, a youngster you'll never know. You're buying groceries for some family in Oregon or Maine or North Carolina. John, I know you're wondering how this can be, but let me tell you that the stroke of your pen is going to set off a far-reaching chain reaction. This is how it works. Months ago, back at the Ford Motor Company in Dearborn, Michigan, they were pretty sure you'd come in today and buy your new car, so they planned on it. They had to, or you wouldn't be taking delivery now. Some of the dollars you pay for your new car will return to Dearborn, but they won't all stay there. Part of them will clear through Dearborn, and then they'll start fanning out to nearly every corner of the United States. Some of those dollars may come back to the people who live next door. Some of them might even make the complete circuit and return to your own pocket. Those dollars of yours will spread around the country and buy things for people you'll never meet. It's a great thing, John. It's a big part of what makes this nation tick. And this job of spreading your money so far and wide is done by companies, resourceful American industries, working together to serve everyone, everywhere. Take this example, the Ford Motor Company. Ford can do the job simply because they know they're not big enough to build so complex a machine as an automobile without help. And an automobile is a complex machine. A machine that has to depend on thousands of interrelated parts working together smoothly. A machine that must give unfaltering service for years, over tens of thousands of highway miles. You might take it for granted that your Ford car was built and assembled in Dearborn, or the parts sent out to one of 15 branch plants for assembly. But because Ford needs the help of experts in hundreds of specialized lines of manufacture, it buys from other business enterprises a big share of the parts and assemblies that go into the car. Since Ford works closely with them all, with most of them on a year-in, year-out basis, these suppliers are really partners. 6,000 partners in all, 6,000 independent business enterprises, from one end of the country to the other. Given the brains, the skill, the designs and facilities, what is it that goes into the making of a car? It comes down to labor and raw materials. Everything that goes into a car involves both. Even iron ore, for example, involves the work of the men who get it out of the pit, the men who run the power shovels, the trucks, and the locomotives at the iron mines of Minnesota and Michigan. Already you can see how the dollars are spreading out. To Utah and Montana, to the men who dig copper. To the Pacific Northwest, to the men who cut Port Orford cedar for battery separators. To the Middle West, to the farmers who grow corn and soybeans. To Missouri and Idaho, to the miners who dig out the lead for batteries. To Tennessee and Alabama for aluminum. to Kentucky and West Virginia for coal, to the Texas Panhandle for natural gas, to the Western Plains for leather and wool, to Louisiana for soda ash, to Michigan for limestone, to Maine for upholstery fabrics. Yes, the dollars are going out. To the men who operate the machines, to the girls who type the invoices and the bills of lading. They are all working and earning money because you are buying a car today, and because Ford long ago planned to produce that car. Some of the materials, take steel for example, have a lot of work involved in them. Value has been added. Steel suppliers have taken the basic materials, coke, limestone, and iron ore, and produced ingots and rolled them into sheets and bars. Dollars go to the companies who produce processed materials, but the largest percentage of the money ends up in the pay envelopes of the people who do the work. Some of the money with which you bought your new car is in those pay envelopes. Planning ahead for more new cars that will appear on the showroom floor months from now, buyers already are placing orders for finished parts, assemblies, and sub-assemblies. They deal with suppliers that are specialists in their field for parts like tires. Wherever a car goes, it goes on its tires. That's why tire making should be the concern of people who are tire experts. Spark plugs. Spark plugs bring the motor to life. For spark plugs, they go to manufacturers who have devoted themselves to spark plug building for years. The same applies to many other things purchased from suppliers. Batteries, speedometers, bumpers, seat springs, decorative hardware, grill parts, and things like roller bearings, heat control valves, automatic transmission assemblies, all the hundreds of other purchased items. And it doesn't stop with the parts that are to be assembled into the automobile. They have to be concerned with machine tools and office supplies, with items like crankshaft oil hole drilling machines that require 8 or 10 months to build, presses for stamping body parts from cold steel, gang drills for motor block castings. Some of the money that paid for your car went to the makers of each and every one of them. Would you like to see where some of your dollars go, John? Some of the people you hired to help build your car? They are the same people who possibly hired you in turn to help make their washing machines or their fountain pens, or raise a hog for them to furnish their breakfast bacon. They are a cross-section of American industry. They are the face of America. Meet the people of the Oakland Machine Works of Royal Oak, Michigan. This is what you call small business. 30 or 40 people work here, machining castings for things like water pump pulleys. There's one of these pulleys in your new car. The dollars that come in the pay envelopes here circulate around Royal Oak and buy things from everywhere. Here's another supplier, the Paris, Tennessee branch of the Holly Carburetor Company. There was practically no industry in Paris at all until this plant was built. Now 180 Paris people are making carburetors, and together they earn $30,000 a month. Some of it moves on through the cash register of the local grocery, the dry goods stores, the hardwares, and the dime stores of Paris. Paris, Tennessee. You'll find that a lot of these suppliers are small shops. Let's pick a few of them at random. The Lannett Bleaching and Dye Works of Lannett, Alabama. The people here work on headlinings for cars. The Modine Manufacturing Company of Whittier, California, where they turn out truck and passenger car radiators. Now, why does a company in Dearborn, Michigan buy radiators away out in California? It makes good sense, because Whittier is closer to West Coast assembly plants, and most companies like to buy materials and parts in the communities where they sell their products. For the same reason, wheels are bought from the Norris Stamping and Manufacturing Company of Los Angeles. Wheels made from blueprints and specifications, the standardized quality requirements. The battery picture will give you an idea. 4 separate companies make batteries for Ford in 16 different cities, pretty well spread over the map, from Edgewater, New Jersey to San Francisco, California. They are close to assembly plants and close to all distribution centers, so that a constant flow of fresh batteries can be supplied to dealers as service parts. So it goes. Large companies, medium-sized firms, small shops all over the country. From great name industries with branches of their own to hometown industries, 6,000 strong. All functioning to keep parts and materials flowing to meet the months ahead schedule of the production program. In an endless stream of traffic, the thousands of parts arrive at their destination on time. No one company is big enough to be self-sufficient. It is only big enough to be of service to everyone, so long as the vital flow of parts and materials continues on schedule. When anything happens to stop the flow from any one of the 6,000 partners, it can disrupt the rhythm, the order of this great production cycle. And you might not be able to take delivery of your new car on the appointed day. And that's not all. When this system is disrupted over a period of time and they stop making cars, the partnership weakens, and thousands of working men and women find their lives thrown out of adjustment. Many of the 6,000 partners have to curtail their operations, and some even have to close their doors. The effect on American economy is felt in empty drawers of cash registers in corner groceries and dry goods stores all over the land. Many suppliers with simple, small-scale operations perform with the skill and knowledge of their people. They hold to close tolerances, the quality standard set up for each and every part that is to be incorporated into the automobile. Larger, more detailed operations maintain engineering and research laboratories of their own to pave the way for new improvement, to make their product, and therefore the whole product, better. There are thousands of examples of this, but look at just a few. Engineers in one of the supplier companies developed a new and better system of zigzag springs for seats. They brought it to Ford engineers, who gave it a tough time in the testing laboratory, touched it up with a few improvements, covered it with a cushion of sponge rubber. They pronounced it a better seat, a more comfortable ride, at no increase in price over the older coil-type springs. Another company developed a new, simpler, better-performing manifold heat control valve at no increased manufacturing cost. Automotive engineers can't think of everything, but 6,000 alert specialist partners can devise and develop improvements in their own fields simply because they concentrate on a few parts and don't have the function of a whole car to divert their attention. The car buyers' dollars spreading out over the country are paying for scientific research ingenuity and a constantly improved product. The Ford Purchasing Office, the company contact for 6,000 partners, is responsible for source and price of all items. The men in this office deal with suppliers directly. They form the connecting link between the dollars you paid for your new car and people all the way from spark plug ceramic workers to farmers who till the soil and grow things like cotton for car headlinings and upholstery. In the finest sense, this purchasing office is the connection between your car buying dollars and people like the grocer in Paris, Tennessee, and the shoe clerk in Whittier, California. Through this purchasing office, Ford becomes the worldwide distributor for products made by people in great manufacturing centers and obscure small towns, products that none of them might otherwise be producing. Through all the models of cars on dealers' floors, Ford becomes the distributor of 18 million yards of textiles. That is 3,400 miles of cloth every year, cloth produced by people from Maine to Alabama. It is the distributor for over 23 types of petroleum products, from fuel oil to aromatic solvents. Over 8,200 machine parts and stampings, from axles to washers. 30-odd kinds of accessories, from road lamps to body wax. And many more products, not only assembled into automobiles, but stacked as service parts on dealers' shelves. But the company doesn't just sit and wait for suppliers to deliver based on time, quantity, and destination requirements of production control. Buyers from Dearborn constantly visit the suppliers to see how they are getting along. If you are a supplier or one of the 6,000 partners, you are certain to run up against problems. You might, for instance, need help to speed the tooling up operation of a job. Tooling can run from thousands to millions of dollars. Ford buyer and Ford supplier working together can usually arrange for the tools to do the job. Working together, this buyer-supplier team can usually solve material shortage problems in critical times. To maintain quality standards, they often cooperate to train men in the techniques of quality control. Besides all this, there is a constant two-way flow of information that leads to improvements in the car you buy, the performance record that influenced you to buy it. Research and engineering information, cost control information, manufacturing information. Dry-looking figures and statistics on paper, but something which makes sense to anyone when translated into terms of better cars for all of us, better transportation for people everywhere. Yes, you're buying more than a new car and the materials and work that went into it. Listen, even now you can hear the far-off bell of a cash register. That housewife in Hibbing, Minnesota has some of your dollars already. Listen, there is activity in the stores in places like Rahway, New Jersey, because of you. This bank has just opened for business in Oakland, California. A few of those dollars are going into someone's savings account. The chain reaction you set off is working around the nation through a business resourceful enough to be a customer of 6,000 other businesses, the better to serve its own customers everywhere. Blinding glare of lights, limited visibility, the darkness itself, all add to the complex pattern of traffic on our streets and highways at night. No wonder it takes concentration and real skill at the wheel to drive safely after dark. This means that you must master all the fundamentals of driving before you take to the roads after the sun has set.
Of course, driving at night can be mighty pleasant. But don't forget that there are dangers hidden in every shadow on the road ahead. In fact, 60% of all fatal automobile accidents occur at night. So naturally, you must be more cautious and more alert, in complete control of the car at all times and ready to react at any time to the changing situations on the road ahead. There's no doubt about it, driving at night requires real skill at the wheel, for only an extra measure of caution and alert observation can guarantee you a safe journey through the dark. Poor visibility and fatigue are the most dangerous factors to beware of when you're driving at night. Even during the day in the city or out on the highway, the changing pace of traffic requires many split-second decisions when you're behind the wheel. But at night, the problems are multiplied many times over. Flickering lights, flashing signs, and moving vehicles all compete for your attention. And if you're tired or your headlights aren't clean and clear, you can't drive safely. To make sure you can see the road ahead and are obeying the law, always turn on your headlights about half an hour before sunset, or at any other time when visibility is limited. And if you park at night away from city streetlights, pull off the highway and leave your parking lights on. But turn on your headlights when you start up again. Remember, even with good headlights, you can't identify objects at distances over 150 feet at night. The range of even the brightest headlights is far less than the stopping distance required at speeds over 50 miles per hour. Don't overdrive your headlights. If you're going too fast, by the time you've reacted to an emergency, put your foot on the brake and stop the car, you may be involved in an accident. However, at a slower rate of speed, you'll be able to stop well within the range of your headlights. So the first rule for safe driving at night is to reduce speed. Besides knowing the range, it's important to know the use of your headlights. When you're driving in the country, turn your lights on bright. However, when another car is approaching or you're following a car, dim your headlights from the bright to depressed position. This reduces glare and illuminates the road in front of the car where you need the light. And when you're following a car, keep your lights in the depressed position. As you approach to pass, flick your headlights from dim to bright several times before you pull out. This, like dimming your lights for approaching cars, is a courtesy of the road, one to remember and practice whenever you're driving at night. And when other cars are approaching, slow down and look not at the headlights of the other cars, but at the right edge of the road. This reduces the chance of your being temporarily blinded by headlight glare. But don't forget the other car. When you drive around a curve, even in daylight, you have to slow down because you can't see what may be hidden around the bend. At night, it's even more important to slow down because your headlights slant diagonally across the road as you turn, and you can't see the right side of the road ahead. Once in a while, you may meet a car with only one headlight. Since you can't be sure whether it's the right or left headlight that's burned out, slow down and pull over to the right to allow plenty of passing room. Keep your eyes on the road at all times. Don't light matches cigarette lighters, or turn on inside lights when you're driving at night. Inside lights create a glare in front of your eyes and reduce the range of your vision. And during the time you take your eyes off the road, you can easily have an accident. Because your range of visibility is limited at night, it's often very difficult to see bicycle riders or pedestrians on the road ahead. During the day, of course, it's easy to spot pedestrians walking on the highway, but at night, they're a special hazard to the driver. In fact, the majority of fatal pedestrian accidents occur after dark. Many times a pedestrian, seeing the lights of a car in the distance, thinks that he can be seen by the driver from a far greater distance than is actually possible. As a general rule, pedestrians should face oncoming traffic and wear light clothing or carry a flashlight. But you can't depend on this, so drive slower and watch carefully for pedestrians at night. Fatigue is an even greater hazard in night driving because you're naturally not as alert after a long day's work. When you're tired, you become less vigilant. You're likely to lose your sense of judgment about distance and speed. Your reaction time slows up, and you may even fall asleep at the wheel. And if this happens, you might not always be as lucky as this driver, who could have hit a pole, gone in the ditch, or hit another car. If you begin to feel sleepy at any time when you're driving, whether in the day or at night, pull off the road immediately and stop. Get out of the car and stretch. Let somebody else take the wheel if possible, or even take a nap if the exercise and fresh air don't wake you up. But don't try to drive until you feel rested and wide awake again. You're only asking for trouble if you continue to drive while tired. Yes, fatigue and poor visibility are the two greatest hazards in driving at night. Each can affect your ability to handle the car skillfully in all kinds of traffic. When you do drive at night, remember to reduce your speed, use your headlights correctly and courteously, and be sure that you've mastered all the fundamentals of driving before you get behind the wheel at night.
Well, there's a family that really likes to look into what they're buying. Smart idea, too. But you know, no matter how hard or long they look at that new Ford, they'll never see all the extra quality and special features that went into all parts of the car. The inner Ford is something you'll never see. And that's why we're running this two-page spread in this week's Life. I hope you'll read it. Fact is, it tells the inside story of the '56 Ford so well, we've had this big reproduction made for your Ford dealer showroom. See all these lines? Well, each of them points to one of the inner qualities that Ford gives you at Ford's low prices. For example, right here is the line that points to the glass fiber insulation and felt that line of Ford roof. You'll never see it, but you'll sure know it's there every time you're riding in a quiet Ford. And here's another Ford exclusive. This 5-cross-member K-bar frame that has the highest torsional rigidity in its field. Now, these are just a few of the reasons why Ford is a quieter, more snugly built car. Why Ford is ahead of its competition. Drop in at your Ford dealers and let him give you the full story on the inner Ford. You'll discover the advantages of owning the car that goes first with all the things that count most. The 1956 Ford. Good evening. Tonight you're going to see a demonstration of an amazing new car. A car that all the world wanted and only the engineers here at Ford could build. The scenes you're about to see could happen on any street in America. The street we've selected is named Mulberry.
Most days, Mulberry Street is pretty quiet. But you should have seen all the excitement the day Bob Jordan sprung his big surprise on the neighborhood. Nobody had ever seen anything quite like this newest, new kind of Ford, the Skyliner, the world's only hideaway hardtop. Naturally, everyone wanted to see how it worked, and just as naturally, Bob wanted to show them. He pulled the control lever, and the magic started. First, the rear deck lid swung up. Next, the all-steel top automatically began to rise. Then the forward panel folded under. The top continued to move back and down, and finally descended smoothly into the trunk. You saw it happen, from an all-steel hardtop to a wide-open convertible in less than a minute. But do you think this crowd was satisfied?
Hey, do it again, Bob.
Please put the top back up.
And Bob obliged. He knows that the mechanism that operates this retractable top will take all the hard use he can give it, which means he can show it off to his friends all he likes. Ford engineers have tested this car by putting the top up and down thousands of times, the equivalent of 10 years of normal use without a mechanical failure. This steel top is plenty rugged, too, and weather-tight. There, the last step. Set screws lock the roof and deck lid down securely, and it's a snug and beautiful hardtop again. This is another example of Ford's advanced engineering, another Ford first. Ask your Ford dealer about the new Ford Skyliner, the world's only hideaway hardtop.
Well, I'm sure you'll agree. The Ford Skyliner is a revolutionary car. And this is important to you no matter which one of Ford's 21 exciting new models you might choose. It's important because the Skyliner represents the kind of advanced engineering, exhaustive testing, and downright extra value that goes into every part and every feature of every new Ford. All of which means that whichever body style best suits your needs, when you get a Ford, you're getting a truly fine car at half the fine car price.
Ford Theater has been presented by Ford and the Ford dealers of your community who sell and service Ford cars and trucks, as well as A1 and other used cars.
What is the first thing a smart horse buyer does? Just this. Sure, he knows it's more than appearances that count with a horse. And if you're wise, you'll do the same thing when it comes to buying a truck. Yes, sir, you look under the hood, because here is where truck buying begins. Look for the one big advance that is revolutionizing engine performance and gas savings. Look for modern short-stroke design. And for 1955, only Ford, the largest builder of V8 engines, makes a short-stroke V8 for every truck size, from pickups to 60,000-pound big jobs. As you see here, modern short-stroke engine design means that the stroke is shorter than the bore. This reduces piston travel and piston speed. Piston rings last as much as 53% longer, and you get longer engine life. You also get more power more punch, and save up to 1 gallon in 7. To make sure that your next truck has this totally new type of engine, look under the hood. Look for a Ford short-stroke engine V8 or 6 in a moneymaker. A new Ford triple economy truck for 1955. They're at your Ford dealers right now.
One of the country's largest and most modern law enforcement organizations is the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. Nearly 600 men patrol over 70,000 miles of highway. When an accident report comes in, these highway patrolmen move out in a hurry. The North Carolina Highway Patrol is prepared to go anywhere, anytime, to protect users of North Carolina's fine highways, and they get there. Now meet Colonel James R. Smith, the patrol commander.
Our job is to enforce North Carolina's traffic laws. It's a big job. That's why our cars have to give top performance in every kind of driving situation, and at the same time, give our men maximum protection.
And here in Houston, Texas, Ford goes first too, just as it goes first with police agencies all over the country. Over 70% of all the cars operated by the nation's state police today are Fords, and no wonder. Nobody outperforms Ford. Here at the Indianapolis Speedway, a 56 Ford V8 recently set a new 500-mile record, averaging over 107 miles per hour. At Daytona Beach, Florida, Ford won the top award for the best all-around performance. And at Kingman, Arizona, a Ford V8 set 30 new world speed records. In performance, Ford goes first. Test drive a new Ford and prove it to yourself. Here's a new version of Standing on the Corner, the hit song from Frank Lesser's The Most Happy Fella.
Standing on the corner, watching all the Fords go by. Standing on the corner, giving all the Fords the eye.
Catch me, I'm dazzled by loveliness.
Wow, how long and low could you get?
Sure would dress up our ranch in Texas. Real purty.
Yes, this new Ford Sunliner would dress up any home, anywhere. It's the widest, longest, lowest convertible in its field, and it outsells every other convertible, regardless of price. With one exception.
Hey, look what's coming down the street now.
We could take the whole squad of maneuvers in that.
There's room for a squad of 9 or a squad room full of gear in this new Ford Country Sedan. It's one of 6 Ford station wagons offered this year.
Want a lift, soldiers?
Why, sure. It's a Ford, isn't it?
So don't be standing on the corner, watching all the Fords, watching all the Fords. Be the guy who's going by.
Well, some guys get all the Fords.
The American man is many things. He's a do-it-yourself man and a breadwinner. He's a family man and a Saturday night escort. And because he demands the same versatility in his family car, more and more men today are turning to station wagons. And for 56, Ford has a station wagon to fit every need. This year, Ford offers 6, each as beautiful as it is practical. Difficult to believe this 8-passenger country sedan has done a hard day's work, isn't it? But hard work is second nature to a Ford station wagon. This 6-passenger country sedan, for example, has a level load space of over 8 feet long. Here's the ever-popular 2-door ranch wagon, low-priced running mate of the handsome custom ranch wagon. All Ford station wagons are available with a mighty new Thunderbird Y8 engine, for it's the standard 8 at no extra cost. And all give you the extra protection of Ford's Lifeguard design. Whether your favorite is this Country Squire or the brand new Park Lane, fashionable addition to Ford's station wagon line, or any of the other station wagon models Ford now offers, You'll go in style, comfort, and added safety when you go Ford. See the Ford station wagons for $56 at your Ford dealers. Watch this. Know what's in this barrel? A teacup. One fragile teacup. Let's see what happened to it. Not even a crack. That's because the cup was securely packaged. First, it couldn't fly out of the barrel and break because the lid was firmly secured. Second, it was strapped down so it couldn't hit anything inside the barrel and break. Now, this same principle of packaging can be applied to the occupants of an automobile. Statistics show that your chances of escaping injury in an accident are doubled if you remain inside the protective shell of the car. That's why all 56 Fords have LifeGuard double grip door latches, which give extra protection against doors springing open on impact and reduce the hazards of being thrown from the car in a collision. And to reduce the chances of passengers being thrown forward against hard interior surfaces, Ford offers these optional nylon seat belts. LifeGuard door latches and seat belts are only two of the features of Ford's exclusive LifeGuard design, an entirely new concept of passenger packaging for passenger safety. Get all the facts at your Ford dealers.
You know, when it comes to buying a pickup truck, I'm from Missouri. You gotta show me.
Well, come over here then, and let me show you why this 56 Ford half-tonner gives you the most pickup for the money.
Well, go ahead, son. I'm listening.
Well, first, Ford gives you the most capacity of any pickup today. This 8-foot box is the biggest box available in a half-ton pickup, up to 19 cubic feet more load space. Now let me show you the most comfort in any pickup. This is Ford's new custom cab. The seats are foam rubber, 5 inches thick. A full wraparound front windshield makes driving easier and safer. Fact is, Ford gives you the most safety features of any truck. Notice the deep center LifeGuard steering wheel and the double grip LifeGuard door latches. And now, when it comes to power, again, Ford gives you the most usable power at the rear wheels where it counts most, up to 44% more than other makes. And only Ford gives you a choice of short-stroke Y8 engine or short-stroke 6 in a pickup. Plus, power increases up to 26% for 56. The most horsepower per dollar in trucks today. Well, Mr. Missouri, what do you say?
I say actions speak louder than words, son. Let's drive on down and talk to that Ford dealer.
Hi.
Oh, hi, honey.
That's my man. The fellow who invented do-it-yourself. Or maybe it just seems that way. As for me, there are certain things I'd much rather not do for myself. Take driving. I want my car to do most of the work for me. And that's just what my new Ford with optional power assist does. Let me show you. Remember when parking was so much trouble? Well, with Ford's Master Guide power steering, all turning is as easy as this. Nothing to it. Here's something that's exclusive to Ford in its field. A 4-way power seat. Not only does power move me forward or back, it can move me up or down to give me my most comfortable driving position at the touch of my finger. And with another touch here, I can raise or lower all 4 windows without moving from my seat. Each passenger has his own control switch, too. I also have Ford's SwiftSure power brakes, which reduce pedal pressure up to 1/3. And Ford-O-Matic Drive, the smoothest, most versatile automatic transmission of them all. See what I mean about my Ford doing most of my work for me? It's the one car designed with a woman in mind.
In this corner, Miss Ann Hart. Weight, 98 pounds. And in this corner, and we really mean cornered, is her 1956 Ford. Weight, 3,600 pounds. Now watch how easily she makes this ton-and-a-half car do what she wants it to do. Just a touch is all it takes. Because her Ford has Master Guide power steering, a Ford option that does up to 75% of her steering work. Makes a squeeze like this, a breeze like this. Ford's Master Guide power steering supplies the muscles. All she does is guide the car. Turning effort is reduced to almost nothing. Driving pleasure is increased immeasurably. And when you're forced into water, snow, or loose sand, you don't have to fight the wheel to control the car. See, all steering is easier with Master Guide power steering. On a smooth straightaway, however, Ford's power steering is just like regular steering. You don't lose the natural feel of the wheel. Ford's Master Guide power steering makes your driving safer, more relaxed on any kind of road. And this year, its suggested price is almost 1/3 lower. Test drive a Ford with Master Guide power steering at your Ford dealers soon. The younger you teach them, the more you reach them. And that applies especially to driving instruction. These teenagers are students at Boca Ciega High School in St. Petersburg, Florida. And they're typical of hundreds of thousands in driver training groups throughout the country who are learning early to be courteous, competent, and safe drivers. To help these groups, Ford and its dealers will place more than 3,500 new Fords at the disposal of school authorities in a new $7 million car loan project. Each Ford will be equipped with all of Ford's Lifeguard design features. The Lifeguard steering wheel with a deep center construction designed to absorb shock and help prevent contact with a recessed steering column. Ford's nylon seat belts to hold driver and passengers firmly in their seats. Lifeguard padding on instrument panel and sun visors, 5 times more shock absorbing than foam rubber. A Lifeguard rear view mirror with special backing to resist shattering. And Ford's Lifeguard double grip door latches to reduce the hazard of occupants being thrown from the car in case of a collision. Ford's Lifeguard design, like Ford's assistance to school authorities, is aimed at making driving on America's streets and highways safer for you and for your children. Visit your Ford dealer soon and ask him for all the details about Lifeguard design in the 1956 Ford. A Ford first for safety first. Guy Mitchell sings.
Well, I never felt more like singing hooray. Just drove a new Ford, and I'm here to say it's all new. It's sure a new kind of Ford. Well, no car for the dough is a car so long. No car for the dough is so rugged and strong. And in Ford, you get a new kind of ride. The frame inside this Ford is new. There's new ball joint suspension too. They ride you oh so sweet and low. You'll never know there's bumps below. So just amble on down. The going is great. Just pick you a 6 or a Thunderbird 8. Come try Ford. Come drive a new kind of Ford.
See your Ford dealer. This man is a comparison shopper. It's his job to visit different stores and check what one is offering against what the others are offering. Let's see what happens when he visits a Ford dealership and compares the 1957 Ford against the other low-priced cars. He's got a list of features to check, and we're sure that what he finds out will interest you as a new car buyer. First, he looks at Ford's heavy one-piece wraparound bumper and makes a note that no other car in the low-price field has this one-piece construction. Now, he checks Ford's lower sloping hood and sees that it's hinged at the front, so that it's very unlikely that it would ever unlatch and fly up while you're driving. He makes another note that Ford's windshield pillars are the only ones in the low-price field that slant back like this. You've seen this feature on high-priced cars, but only Ford gives you this advanced styling in the low-price field. Next, he checks Ford's thin center pillars that give every Fairlane and Fairlane 500 sedan the look of a hardtop when the windows are up. Here again, Ford stands alone in its price class. And when he examines Ford's sleek, new rear-end styling, he notices that a Ford doesn't have the high, narrow box look he's seen in some other cars. The tail fins are sculptured and sweep out of the body for a trim, low look. And Ford's tail lights are the largest in its field. And the optional backup lights are built right in, not tacked on like other cars, for a real sleek touch. You'll find most all of these same features in the low-priced Custom and Custom 300 Fords, too, plus features you can get in other cars only if you pay the deluxe model prices. Be a comparison shopper yourself. Check the new kind of Ford against the others. You'll find the 57 Ford gives you more value per dollar than any other car.
Men in many fields made money in 1954. Farmers.
Pretty fair year.
Businessmen.
Expanding our operation considerably.
Contractors.
Yep. Building's never been better.
Yes, men in many fields made money in 1954, and Ford trucks helped many of them to do it. And now, for 1955, Ford presents the Moneymakers. And here they come. Over 190 money-making combinations. Whatever your hauling job, there's a Ford truck to handle it. And whatever Ford truck you choose, it can put extra dollars in your pocket. The reason? Triple economy in Ford truck saves you money 3 ways. 1, Ford Power.
Power means money to me. And only Ford offers a modern, high-compression, low-friction engine in every truck they sell.
2, Ford Cab Comfort.
I know driver comfort helps a man do a good day's work. That's why all my trucks are Fords. Best cabs in the business. Makes money, makes sense.
3, Ford Capacity.
This pickup's right for me. Fella's got more to haul. Ford's got a truck for him, too. Yes, sir, whatever size load, Ford's got a truck that's just right.
See how triple economy pays off with the Moneymakers. See the new 55 Ford trucks now on display at your Ford dealers. And now, during intermission, here is artist, author, and educator, Professor Tom Folds.
Cartoonists have a number of tricks they often use to express a feeling of motion in a drawing. Now, the most obvious of these are so-called speed lines. They look somewhat like this. And on the drawing of this little man, I can make him seem to move a little faster by fluttering his tie out behind him. However, these are only very superficial tricks applied to a figure that's basically very static and rigid. Now let me show you a much more convincing picture of a man in motion. We'll draw him somewhat like this. Here, the basic shape of the figure moves on the diagonal, leans way forward, and the shapes themselves express the feeling of motion. So now when we add the cartoonist speed lines, they seem to flow right out of the figure itself. Now the expression of motion through design is the aim of all modern automotive stylists. As we saw in the drawings of the two men, the basic shape of a car may also express motion, or, like this one, remain static. You can probably remember when superficial features used to be added to the basic shape of a car in an attempt to suggest a feeling of movement, such as this radiator ornament, for instance. Now, in the 1955 Ford, the feeling of motion has been built right into the basic shape of the car itself. Let me show you specifically what I mean. Notice how the line of the car flows from front to rear in an almost imperceptible curve, and how the front fenders, the reach of the visored headlights, and the drawn-out taillights extend this smooth, unbroken line. The lowered hood and the sweep of the all-round windshield blend into this line perfectly, adding to the lively feeling of motion in the overall appearance of this car. Now, when the design of a car expresses its function forcefully and imaginatively, of course we derive more pleasure from owning and using it.
The imaginative styling of the 1955 Ford is also evident in Ford's exciting new use of chrome and stainless steel trim, in Ford's fresh new colors and smart modern interiors. You're invited to come in and see the beautiful new 1955 Fords now at your Ford dealers. If you're the one man in 100 who drives on this kind of road, then you'll find a big cushion of comfort in the smooth-riding 1955 Ford. But it's on this kind of road that 99% of us spend most of our driving hours. And for us, too, there's big news in the Ford Ride 455. Last year, Ford's ball joint front suspension with tailored-to-weight hydrocoil springs was called the greatest ride advance in 20 years. This system absorbed shock from the up and down contact with road bumps like this. In 1955, Ford's ball joint front suspension is angle poised, so that the front wheels absorb not only the up and down shock, but the impact of the bump as it is met head-on, like this. That means that annoying little bounce you used to feel as you crossed a joint in the pavement is almost a thing of the past. At last, your highway rides as smooth as it looks. Ford takes road joint jar in its stride, thanks to new angle-poised ball joint suspension. That's why Ford takes the high road, Ford takes the low road. And the 55 Ford, with its lower center of gravity, holds the road like a coat of paint. And you ride smoother, easier, more restfully than you ever dreamed possible. You're invited to test drive and test ride the 1955 Ford at your Ford dealers now. And now, during intermission, here is Professor Tom Folds, artist, author, and educator.
You know, during the past 20 years, many interesting changes have taken place on the American scene. While cities have gone up into the air, city dwellers have moved out into the country. Of course, a mass migration of this sort has stimulated many new trends in the living habits of suburbanites. Their demand for more light and air has given tremendous impetus to new architectural designs. Their new homes, for instance, are more open and more closely related to outdoor living. Meanwhile, living in the suburbs has caused the suburbanite to change many of his city-bred habits. He's found more work to be done around his home, and he's doing a lot more of it himself. For instance, he's doing a great deal of his own carpentry, much of his own interior decorating, and even his own landscaping. Well, I'm not sure this is a typical situation I'm drawing here. But at any rate, many changes in the suburbanite's living habits have taken place. Now, these changes have been reflected also in his automobile buying habits. Years ago, the suburbanite discovered that the station wagon answered many of his practical needs. Since then, Ford has expanded his station wagon line and today offers 5 distinctive station wagon models. 2 are called ranch wagons. They are 2-door models, especially good for families with smaller children. This is a 6-passenger 4-door country sedan, and there's also an 8-passenger version. Another fine member of the line is the 8-passenger 4-door Country Squire. As you can see, this model has wood grain trim over an all-steel body. In all the Ford station wagons, the seat behind the driver folds into the floor, and in the 8-passenger models, the rear seat can be taken out. Now, this creates a level cargo floor nearly 9 feet long. And by the way, the interiors of all the Ford station wagons are upholstered in durable synthetic fabrics, as practical as they are good-looking.
More people buy Ford station wagons than any other kind, and there's a Ford station wagon that is just right for your family. Why not take the family to your Ford dealers soon to see the new Ford station wagons? Before you write a check for any new car, check Ford. Check Ford for variety of models. There are 28 in all, 3 great series: Mainline, Custom Line, and Crest Line. In this expanded line, you'll find a 54 Ford to more than meet your every driving need. A Ford to match every purse, every fancy. A Ford as fine as your taste dictates. Check Ford for beauty, and you'll know why Ford is the acknowledged style leader. Its crisp, clean exterior lines are matched by the tailored beauty of the interiors. Check Ford for power features. Ford offers 5 power assists to make your driving as automatic as you wish. Now check Ford for performance. Smooth, quiet V8 performance with trigger-fast responsiveness. Ford's high-compression 130 horsepower V8 engine is the most modern in the industry and the only V8 in Ford's price field. Finally, check Ford for ride. Only Ford in its field gives you ball joint front suspension for easier handling and riding comfort. Yes, before you buy any car at all, check Ford's fine car features. Check it, see it, test drive it at your Ford dealers. And now, during intermission, here is Professor Tom Folds, artist, author, and educator.
This loose-jointed little fellow's often seen in artist studios. He's a wooden mannequin, and artists use him as a model because his joints operate much the same as those in the human body, so that he can assume almost any normal position. Now let's look at the hip joint. As you can see, it's a simple ball and socket mechanism, much like yours and mine, which allows the leg to move in different directions. Now, if nature hadn't provided us with this simple ball and socket mechanism, it would be necessary to have different sets of hinges for each type of leg movement. Obviously, a rather complicated and even cumbersome arrangement at best. Now, industrial designers also study anatomy. They do this because many of the principles of movement found in the human body can also be applied to manufactured mechanisms. For example, here's the front wheel of an automobile. It has to move in several directions, up and down when it goes over bumps, and from left to right for steering. Now, the way this is accomplished depends on how the wheel is connected to these control arms which extend out from the frame. One way is to have a hinge here and here to handle up and down movements of the wheel, and another here to handle the steering movements. Now, this conventional system with its kingpin is still found in many cars today. But Ford this year has adopted a ball joint suspension system. 2 ball and socket joints here and here connect the wheel to the control arms. And because this ball permits free movement in various directions, it can handle both the up and down and the steering movements of the wheel. Ford's simpler suspension system actually eliminates 12 out of 16 wear points, and at the same time allows for greater total up and down wheel travel.
The ball joint front suspension is exclusive to Ford in its field. Find out for yourself how it steps over the bumps and makes all riding more comfortable, how it makes steering easier and improves roadability. Wheels stay in line longer and help maintain that new car feel. Test drive a 54 Ford. And now, during intermission, here is Professor Tom Folds, artist, author, and educator.
Probably all of you own and use a pencil. Whether you use it for drawing as I do, or merely to mark your grocery list, I think you'll agree with me it's an indispensable item. But have you ever wondered how it leaves its mark? Well, now the answer to that is friction. When a pencil moves across the paper, friction between the lead and the paper wears down the lead and leaves some of it on the paper. And if you increase the pressure on the pencil, thereby increasing the friction, a heavier mark results because more lead is left. And if I moved it very rapidly like this, and I kept it up very long, well, I would soon have to resharpen my pencil. In fact, just in normal everyday use, my pencils are very quickly reduced to something like this. Of course, this is no great loss because pencils are inexpensive to replace. But in an automobile engine, wear from friction can be extremely costly. Actually, it can be costly in 2 ways. Here, let me show you. Here's a piston of an automobile which has to move up and down inside a cylinder. The friction caused by the rubbing of the piston against this cylinder wall can cause the parts to wear just as a pencil wears away rubbing against the paper. In addition, there's a loss of power because friction uses up power that normally would be transmitted to the wheels. Now, in ordinary engines, much of the friction comes from overlong piston travel as the piston moves from here to here. But in Ford's modern Y-block V8 engine, piston travel has been greatly reduced. The piston has to move only from here to here. Ford's short stroke design eliminates much of the friction between piston and cylinder wall. And because of this, more usable horsepower is produced from fuel, and wear is reduced for longer engine life.
Ford's short-stroke, low-friction V8 engine is an outgrowth of Ford's experience in building over 17 million V8 engines. Its completely modern design means not only greater economy, but also smoother, more responsive performance. Test drive a 1954 Ford V8. The average new Ford is driven most of the time by Dad, frequently by Mom, and whenever he can get the old man in a weak moment, by his son Bob. But this new Ford has already been driven by 243 different drivers, and there's more to come. It's only one of 2,000 new Fords owned by the Hertz Rent-A-Car system. It takes a lot of car to satisfy so many different drivers, to stand up to over 243 different ways of shifting, accelerating, steering, and braking. And Ford does satisfy on every count. Take it from Walter L. Jacobs, president of the Hertz Rent-A-Car system with nearly 800 Hertz stations in over 550 cities.
Ford's low initial cost and high resale value make it a good buy, whether you order one new Ford or 2,000. Ford's good looks belong anywhere, and Ford's proven ability to adapt itself to the special needs of so many different kinds of drivers makes it an ideal car for the Hertz Rent-A-Car system. The Hertz Rent-A-Car system members have purchased over 2,000 new Fords because Ford offers safe, dependable driving for hundreds of thousands of our customers throughout the world.
You know, when it comes to buying a pickup truck, I'm from Missouri. You gotta show me.
Well, come over here then, and let me show you why this '56 Ford half-tonner gives you the most pickup for the money.
Well, go ahead, son. I'm listening.
Well, first, Ford gives you the most capacity of any pickup today. This 8-foot box is the biggest box available in a half-ton pickup, up to 19 cubic feet more load space. Now let me show you the most comfort in any pickup. This is Ford's new custom cab. The seats are foam rubber, 5 inches thick. A full wraparound front windshield makes driving easier and safer. Fact is, Ford gives you the most safety features of any truck. Notice the deep center lifeguard steering wheel and the double grip lifeguard door latches. And now, when it comes to power, again, Ford gives you the most usable power at the rear wheels where it counts most, up to 44% more than other makes. And only Ford gives you a choice of short-stroke Y8 engine or short-stroke 6 in a pickup. Plus, power increases up to 26% for 56. The most horsepower per dollar in trucks today. Well, Mr. Missouri, what do you say?
I say actions speak louder than words, son. Let's drive on down and talk to that Ford dealer.
Correction. It's a 1956 Ford, but it looks like a Thunderbird and it acts like a Thunderbird. That low silhouette and those clean, crisp lines are Thunderbird inspired, styled after the fabulous car that has won America's heart. And for 1956 in all Ford Fairlane and station wagon models, the Thunderbird Y8 engine is the standard 8 at no extra cost. It's the mightiest engine ever offered in Ford's field. Just take a look at its Y shape. That deep block design means smoother, quieter operation that greatly prolongs the life of your engine. But the true test of this powerhouse comes when you take it out on the road. Want to get around? It's easy in a car that can take you from 0 to 60 almost as fast as you can say it. Thunderbird power means extra responsiveness, extra passing power, plus all the climbing power and acceleration you'll ever need, and then some. Yes, it looks like the Thunderbird, and it acts like the Thunderbird.
Wow! It's a 56 Ford!
See it, test drive it at your Ford dealers.
Where to? The country club for golf? Downtown for shopping? Vacation? Pick up the kids at school? Wherever you go, whatever you do there, you'll always find a Ford station wagon fitting and proper. Ford's Country Squire is only one of 5 new Ford station wagons. All seats in place, this four-door beauty seats 8 adults, or a classroom of kids. Another 8-passenger Ford station wagon is this handsome 2-tone all-steel country sedan. With the back seat out and the stowaway seat jackknifed into the floor, you have nearly 9 feet of level load length. The 6-passenger 4-door country sedan, like all station wagons, is available with Ford-O-Matic, overdrive, or conventional transmission. Whether it's a 4-door station wagon or a 2-door all-steel jack-of-all-trades like the ranch wagon, or its running mate, the custom ranch wagon, you're bound to find a Ford station wagon to suit your needs. What's more, Ford's new 162 horsepower Y-block V8 with dual exhausts in the station wagons, or the 120 horsepower I-block 6 gives you new trigger torque performance, split-second response for extra safety. Why not visit your Ford dealers tomorrow for an exciting, revealing test drive? And now, during intermission, here is artist, author, and educator, Professor Tom Folds.
Once upon a time, an enterprising young fellow discovered an easy way to get what he wanted merely by rubbing an old lamp. Now, you remember the story of Aladdin from the Tales of the Arabian Nights. Well, when he rubbed his magic lamp, he conjured up a strange and wonderfully muscled creature called a genie, who would grant his every wish. This story has fascinated readers for centuries because it symbolized man's dream of having his work done for him. Aladdin and his lamp represented a life of automatic ease. Now, I've used the past tense on purpose because to a remarkable degree, we've already realized this dream today. We're surrounded by hundreds of genies, ready to do our bidding at the push of a button or the flick of a switch. They light our rooms, toast our bread, mix our food, provide us with entertainment, and serve countless other functions. And some of them you don't even see, such as this small motor, for instance. Now, this looks like a motor you might find in home appliances, but actually it's used in the 1955 Ford to raise and lower the power windows. A small switch under each window allows individual control, and a panel of 4 switches here permits the driver to control all 4 windows. And this is only one of 5 power assists available in the 1955 Ford. A button on the side of the seat raises and lowers the seat or moves it forward or backwards. The power steering takes over most of the effort required in guiding the car. And a light touch on the pedal is all you need to stop the car with Ford's power brakes. Finally, of course, there's Speed Trigger Ford-O-Matic. Ford's smooth and responsive automatic transmission does away with shifting throughout the whole driving range. These power assists in the 1955 Ford are some of the modern genie you have at your command, and in the 55 Ford, they make driving as automatic as you wish.
Ford's power assists are a perfect complement to the many fine car features that are available for you to enjoy in a 1955 Ford. So why not enjoy a test drive in a striking new Ford model? Your nearest Ford dealer cordially invites you to come in and see the beautiful new 1955 Fords at your convenience.
on the Canadian border, where incoming visitors get greetings from the boys in customs costumes. Our starting point, the border town of Fort Kent, Maine, is right across the St. John River from French Canada. The citizens of Fort Kent print their signs in English, but if you feel like chatting, you gotta really dig some parlez-vous. This country is full of good farmland. Most of the folks around here are potato growers, but Maine has blueberries, too. No, Junior, those big fat berries are not picked one at a time. A rake is used, something like a comb. Anyone for blueberry pie? US 1 rolls through miles of beautiful Maine woods. But you don't hear the ring of the axe anymore. It's the roar of the chainsaw. Axes or no axes, these boys are no sissies. A few million of the logs wind up at the paper mill. And in no time at all, the wood pulp has been turned into paper. 206 miles southeast of Fort Kent, US 1 reaches the Atlantic coast near Calais. Another 26 miles down the line is the most easterly city in the U.S., Eastport. But it's equally famous for fish. Great cargoes of sardines are brought in from the sea and checked right on the boats by government food inspectors. The gals clean them and trim them. What do you know? Scissors. And into the tins they go. These are the fishing docks at Booth Bay Harbor on Frenchman Bay. Here you can see an old whaling ship. Or watch a boat arrive with a load of deliciously ferocious Maine lobsters. Boy, you don't stand barefoot on this deck. We drive down the rock-ribbed coast. We're only in New Hampshire for 21 miles, but a visit to Seabrook is a must for swimmers, waders, and especially little guys. Then we continue on to Boston, where every tourist sees these three things. Faneuil Hall, Paul Revere's statue with Old North Church in the background, and Old Ironsides. Three outstanding landmarks from early American history. As you travel US 1 through New England, you sometimes have a picturesque winding road like this. The old Slater Mill at Pawtucket is the birthplace of the American textile industry, well worth a visit. In Rhode Island, you can look from Galilee to Jerusalem at Point Judith Pond. At Mystic, Connecticut, on the Mystic River, they've built a replica of an early coastal village. Between New Haven and New York City, the Merritt Parkway is the best bet for anyone taking a long trip. This town overwhelms me, even when I'm over it. Where else? This is from the Empire State Building. You helped pay for this magnificent structure, so take a long, admiring look. It's the United Nations Building. And now we present one of the most sensational travel shots ever recorded. Times Square in the daylight. Florida beckons, so I roll out of New York on the Skyway into New Jersey, where production lines are not all automobile production lines like this one at Metuchen. Because 40 miles later, I'm visiting the cow merry-go-round on the Walker-Gordon farm. Officially, they call this bovine carousel a rotolactor. It has 50 stalls and makes one revolution every 10 minutes, extracting moo juice from 300 cows an hour. In Philadelphia, I go to Independence Hall to pay my respects to the Liberty Bell and see the actual room where the Declaration of Independence was signed. It's a comparatively short drive from Philadelphia to the Port of Baltimore, loaded with things to see and do. Tourists can visit the tea house of a spice company and watch the tea blenders do their stuff. Only the best of teas get by these testing tea tasters and wind up in the packaging room. Baltimoreans always have a picnic during the Maryland crab season. The hammer cracks the shell and exposes the delicious claw meat. It's a short drive to Washington. This is the Capitol building. I'm a taxpayer. I take a ride with the senators on the kiddie cars for big folks that connect the Capitol and Senate buildings. Naturally, you trundle the country squire around the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. You can ride to the top in an elevator, or you can save a dime and walk up 555 feet. To visit the White House, you don't have to be acquainted with the president. It's open to visitors 5 mornings a week. You can see Lindbergh's Spirit of St. Louis in the Smithsonian. Or have a ride on the George Washington Canal. No, not on the mules, Johnny, on the barge. US 1 crosses the Potomac into Virginia on the 14th Street Bridge. Here you visit Arlington National Cemetery and the tomb of the unknown soldier. Or you can go to Mount Vernon and join the gang for a trip through the house and grounds of our first president. Leaving Washington, we still have 1,310 miles to go on good old US 1. We head south to Richmond. This is the state capital which once housed the Confederate Congress. You know we're in the South now. Note the Dixie Cups. North Carolina has some real good roads and a sense of humor. Handcrafts still flourish in this part of the country. Soon after entering South Carolina, we come to Cheraw. The city is loaded with trees. They tell me an old town law required anyone seen intoxicated on the street to go to the woods, bring back a tree, and plant it. This is the big, wide main street of Columbia, approaching the state capitol. And here on the Capitol grounds, you have a chance to count real Southern bells. That stuff on the trees is Spanish moss. But the unadorned pine tree with its sticky, precious gum is an economic star. They harvest the gum and convert it into turpentine, rosin, and other products. US 1 crosses eastern Georgia for a distance of 226 miles. Just south of Waycross is Okefenokee Swamp Park. This place is beautiful, but it's got enough mystery to give even Chloe the creeps. Hey, they've got so many alligators here, they use them for pets. Yes, sirree. Somebody else, not me. Also, the kind of birds they keep in the zoo up north. Wise guy. We roll into Florida. 500 miles of sunshine, I hope. I have a nice stop in Jacksonville, which looks right pretty across the St. Johns. St. Augustine is the oldest town in the U.S. They started cooking here in 1513. I hope your past is such that this view doesn't make you nervous. It's part of the old Castillo de San Marcos, which is now a national monument. At the Marine Studios, you can see the porpoises having a bite of lunch. Incidentally, what relative does this remind you of? At the Sea Zoo, you can meet a most affectionate little gal, a sea cow. These gentle sea creatures will nuzzle, but they won't bite. In fact, they're vegetarians. Florida grows 200 kinds of crops. This is a high-speed celery harvesting operation. Of course, the big deal in Florida is citrus. And this is where they squeeze and freeze the oranges like crazy. If you like beautiful scenery, how about moving to Palm Beach? Then again, maybe you like dog races. Ah, that dog. One of the rubber companies, I can't remember which, operates a blimp over Miami. So I buck up and go along for a ride. Then I head south on the Florida Freeway, island hopping for 135 miles, to our southernmost city, Key West, where you can see pelicans, sharks, and spectacular sunsets. Or a nice end of the line as arranged by the Kiwanians. Now, there's just one more thing you want to know about this Explorette. This is the end.
The crash, which you have just seen from moment of impact until the vehicles came to rest, took 3/10 of 1 second. In about the same time it takes to puff a cigarette, an accident has been recreated, and the results have been recorded. The measurements, the data collected from experiment number 220, will affect the thinking and planning of the many specialists who make up our research staff. The crash teams, the engineers, the scientists,
will interpret their findings for the designers, who must build a new concept of injury prevention into the cars of tomorrow. We'd like to give you a brief picture of the planning behind this concept and the work that goes into these full-scale crashes. What happens in that important 0.3 of a second, and how we measure results. We can't seem to find many volunteer drivers, even among our dedicated engineers. And that's why we tow the cars into the crashes. Here's a diagram of a typical crash. The crashing car is towed and released just before impact. Running along the side of the crashing car is the instrumentation truck, connected by some 16 instrument cables that carry the time and force messages to the sensitive measuring devices in the truck. Our towing car is equipped with a fifth wheel, which gives us an exact speed figure. Here you see the tow cable release being checked. Our crashing car is of particular interest because in many ways it's quite an unusual automobile. First, the occupants. On the outside, they're fairly normal, 6 foot, 190-pound adult males. On the inside, they're equipped with electronic devices and contact points that are going to tell us when and where they have been hurt and how they feel about it. The cars are equipped to test a number of safety devices, which have been and are being developed. Certain of these test vehicles are equipped with safety locks, which are designed to reduce the chances of passengers being thrown out on the pavement, where their chances for injury are about doubled. We have tested and retested the necessity to treat other critical areas. Safety glass rear view mirrors, sun visors, and the advantages of padding instrument panels. Another area which has always been a problem is the steering wheel. So many of our test cars have safety dish-type wheels that are designed to catch the driver like a catcher's mitt and cushion his fall forward. Remember that not all the crash cars are fully equipped with safety gear. We have to measure the results with and without to get a true picture of their value. And that's where our measuring devices come in. We must know exactly what happens to our passengers in that critical 0.3 of a second. And since none of us is going to sit in the back seat and watch, we rely on several high-speed camera films, our 1,100 feet of cable, and the equipment in our instrumentation truck. Some of our cables are, of course, attached to our passengers. They also tell us time and force ratios on the front of the car, under the car, the visors, seat belts, and so on. All the areas that can give us facts. These impulses are transmitted directly to the amplifiers and oscillograph recorder that tell us to the 1,000th of a second what happened and when. This camera record slows down our action more than 20 times. This is the same crash you saw earlier. Here's the view now from the back seat. Neither dummy wears a belt. Watch the rear view mirror and the visor on the right. This was a fairly common medium speed accident. Now let's see the same type of crash without safety locks on the doors. Watch that door. And here it is in a 4-door in slower motion photography. And again, the door pops open. Records like these prove that safety locks are an important part of tomorrow's safer cars. Here, in even slower motion, is exactly the same type of impact with safety locks. This 35G barrier crash is designed to break test equipment. Fortunately, it represents less than 5% of total accidents. These next three sequences are simple broadside impacts that occur all too frequently. The first, at slow speed, pushes the victim car sideways approximately 3 feet. Here, a little faster, we move the car about 6 feet. And note that our dummies, without seat belts, reacted more violently. Finally, faster yet, we see a more serious accident. Our dummies give us an even clearer reaction in this approximately 9G crash. Our second car moves sideways about 16 feet. Here now is a sequence illustrating another kind of impact. Here it is again in slower motion. The dummies in the crashing car are not wearing belts. The other car has safety door locks. This dummy keeps his seat because he's wearing a seat belt. And from the back seat of the moving car, we get a different picture. The crashes you have seen are a spectacular and exciting part of our job, but only a part. We don't like to smash these automobiles because they're expensive, but this is the only way to simulate the actual conditions which can establish the design criteria so that we can achieve this new concept, a safely packaged passenger. There are many things we don't know, and we're still looking for many answers. Our goal is reduction of passenger injuries. We're on the right track. And when Test 520 and 2020 have been recorded, analyzed, and evaluated, you'll be riding in a better and safer car.
Certain people who will never drive anything but a fabric-top convertible. It has always been a sportier-looking car, lower, better styled. Despite the occasional inconvenience of the convertible, like leaving the car with the top down and having it suddenly rained on, some convertible owners love more than anything else the airy, light feeling of driving with only a fabric cover above them. A cover that can be whisked away in seconds to leave them free as the open air, or closed in seconds to protect them from the elements. Fabric top lovers there are, and fabric top lovers there will always be. And then there's another type of automobile buyer, Here's a man who's always wanted a convertible. Maybe he even used to own one and remembers it with pleasure. But for one or more of various reasons, perhaps concern for his family, for example, many a man who would like to own a convertible must insist on the solidity and security of a steel-roofed car and resign himself never to enjoy the pleasures of an open automobile. Up to now, the closest such a man could come to his desires was the so-called hardtop convertible, which, of course, is not really a convertible at all. But people have been working on this problem. It has long been the dream of automotive designers to perfect a true hardtop convertible, a car with a steel roof that would retract out of sight, leaving an open-air car. However, design after design has been rejected as impractical. That is, until today. Today, Ford, which led the industry to the V8, to ball joint suspension, to modern styling, and to many, many other engineering and design advances, once again proves its leadership of the automotive world with the Fairlane 500 Hideaway Hardtop. Here is the car of the future, the car that other manufacturers are still only dreaming about, the car that brings great prestige to Ford and Ford dealers for being first to offer the hardtop design that within 10 years will be almost standard in the industry. Longer, 3 inches longer than the Fairlane 500 Sunliner. Heavier, weighing almost 250 pounds more than its cloth-top counterpart, the Fairlane 500 Hideaway Hardtop is the most beautiful car on the road today. Just look at the flat, streamlined roof that signals another new kind of Ford. Indeed, a new kind of car. Yes, just look at it. Just about 50 seconds, less than a minute to change from a hardtop to an open-air car. The world's first and only true hardtop convertible. That's the Fairlane 500 Hideaway Hardtop. How is this miracle of automotive engineering accomplished? How in the world does it work?
7 small electric motors, permanently sealed and lubricated for their lifetime, provide the power to operate the fully automatic top. A system of limit switches operates the motors in sequence for safe, dependable operation. The top can be raised or lowered with the ignition key in the accessory position or with the engine running. However, the transmission must be in neutral for the sake of safety. Then simply push in and hold the top operating button, and the automatic mechanism takes over completely. Let's watch the top move up into place. First, the deck lid rises. When fully open, the lid hits a limit switch, which starts the top raising motors. The top moves up and forward. As it does so, a system of levers pulls the front roof section gradually into position. Finally, the entire top drops down and is electrically locked in place by the electric top locking motor. Now the package tray is folded under for storage. When folded completely, it hits a limit switch which starts the deck lowering motors. When the deck is completely lowered, It, too, is electrically locked into position by another locking motor. Amazingly enough, the entire top mechanism is so perfectly counterbalanced that the top can be raised or lowered and locked by the 7 small motors using no more current than a cloth top convertible. And all motors, remember, are permanently sealed and lubricated for their lifetime. To provide maximum space for the top and the rear deck, the spare tire is under a floor plate where it can be easily reached on those rare occasions when it is needed.
How about luggage? Where does that go?
There's room for plenty of luggage in the rear deck, more even than in the Sunliner convertible. And to reach it, simply hold the operating button in the raise position until the deck lid is fully opened. Release the button, the mechanism stops, and your luggage is at your fingertips. Luggage space is, of course, limited when the top is down, but people rarely take long trips in an open car. When you've removed the luggage you need, simply press the button the other way to lower, and the deck lid moves back into place, securely locked. Notice, too, that fueling of the Hideaway hardtop is accomplished through an access door in the left rear fender. And that about finishes up the major styling and engineering differences between the new Hideaway hardtops and other Fairlane 500s.
The new Fairlane 500 Hideaway hardtop. A beautiful new kind of car. A major contribution to automotive design that you would expect from Ford, the leader of the industry. Here is a car that will join America's favorite convertible in offering the wonderful pleasures of open-air driving to the public. All the strength, solidity, and security of a steel top, plus a truly remarkable engineering accomplishment to achieve the world's first and only Hideaway hardtop. It's the car of the future, and once again, the industry will have to follow the leader, Ford.